Welcome to episode 56 of Życie, Bez Gruchy. Today's guest is a very special man that I happen to know through our common client, and his name is Robert Syslo. He's a professional promotion and branding expert. He's been doing that for over 17 years. He's ranked as one of the top business leaders to follow in 2020 by YAHOO Finance. He's been featured in USA Today and Fox News. He has an extensive background in advertising, marketing, brand development, and show distribution. He's the founder of Syslo Ventures, located in Miami, Florida, and his company's main mission is to take businesses, influencers, products, and services and promote them into the marketplace using the right form of communication and aesthetics to increase awareness, traffic, and conversions to their brand. Robert, thank you for your time and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here. Excited to talk to you. Excited to share with you all the good stuff we're going to talk about today. You know, any chance I get to share my story with other people, it's a big deal for me. So hopefully I could bring some inspiration to your followers and to the people that listen to you. And let's see what we can do and create today. Let's do it.
Amazing. So listen, let's start off with, if you could paint the picture and describe it in a few sentences, how would you tell the story of an artist, homeless pretty much guy, because that's where you were at some point of your life. And that if you could describe the transition from that point into like monetization and sales, how did it happen?
Yeah. So as an artist, I'm in love with my craft. I'm in love with what I create. I'm in love with, taking images and videos and life and turning it into something different, something better than what's actually there. I just realized I had that ability to do this, take something that was a certain way and then turn it into something much more aesthetically pleasing. So I was very good at that. Like from 14 years old, I was like, I knew how to do it. But the thing is that you're not really taught in school, and my family never really exposed this to me, but you have to know how to tell people about what you do. Now, artists, I think, get caught up in, well, people will just find me. At least I did. I was like, oh man, people are just going to see what I do. They're going to like what I do, and I'll just make a ton of money at doing videos and graphics and photos and all that stuff. But that wasn't really the case. It actually went the opposite way. It went all the way down to homeless, right? So what was the central thing that was missing was an understanding of how to market yourself, how to sell yourself, how to be a business owner, how to ask for money, how to price things, how to not be afraid to ask for money, and know the quality of what it is that you bring to the table. So at that moment in my life, I was 8 years ago? It was just a lack of understanding of knowing how to sell. It was a lack of understanding on knowing how to be, how to go out into the world and say, this is my value. Here's what you should pay me for it, and even have the balls to do that. I didn't have that. I didn't have any self-worth. You know what I mean? So as an artist, you're not taught that. You're just very much in tune with your emotions. You're in tune with, your creativity, which is great. But there's another piece that you have to understand. Well, you have to understand how to sell. You have to understand how to market. You have to understand how to go out and get business. And it's a tricky thing, because you think as an artist, you think that if you become a business person, you're going to lose your creativity. At least I thought that. I thought if I learned how to do sales, if I became, a monster sales machine and promoted like crazy, that I would lose my artistic ability. And in fact, the complete opposite happened. It actually enhanced my creative ability, because now when I undertook the necessity to learn both sides of the spectrum, because an artist can be consumed with their viewpoint, consumed with their art, and not think enough about you on the other side, or how are you going to receive this, or what is the central message that I'm trying to say here. And when that happens, you lose that ability to connect with others. And when you sell, When you're selling, all you're really doing is you're solving a primary problem from someone, for someone or a company. You're solving a primary centralized attention problem. And when you can do that and you understand how to access that, your creativity and that works together to make you kind of this lethal weapon that nobody really knows what to do with.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can 100% testify to that with my hand on my heart, because I was studying as a, software developer, and that's how I kind of, opened my business. That's how I met all my clients pretty much. And then it was really, really hard and difficult, and pretty much the same story as you said, with like from artist to sales guy, entrepreneur, whatever you call it. It was a very interesting, like how I started sort of listening and seeing what's happening around me rather than just focusing on the code. Anyway, why did you transition then after you've learned, like sales, and, you kind of dived into a few different, like maybe, companies and then entrepreneurs that you met along the way? Why did you decide to start Syslo Ventures? Like from what point, where did you make that decision?
Yeah, so it was an interesting point. I had worked for an organization that it was the first time I was exposed to sales. It was the first time I was exposed to business. And I got grinded on and had to perform in a way that I was not used to. Like I was and I'm thankful for it. Like I was pushed to my limits, and I learned sales during that experience, kind of not like just by proxy. I was recording a lot of content. And I remember one day I was like, I think I got this. I think this makes sense. And so what ended up happening was I remember I had asked for a raise, and they were like, we're not going to give you a raise. You need to go sell something. And I was like, okay. So I sold video production. And I remember I made my 2-week paycheck in one day. And I said, hold on a second. This is interesting. So this is how I do this. And then I just really dove into it, and I really pushed into it and sold. I was one of the top producers, scaled an advertising agency that didn't exist, by the way. It was totally created on. I think we did I did 12 million in contract value sales the last year I was there. And, but I trained. I realized that my art was important, but surviving was more important. Having the ability to live life the way that I wanted to was more important. Being able to donate to my church was more important. Being able to take care of myself and not have to worry about money. I mean, look, when you're sleeping in the backseat of your car and you're homeless, it changes some perspective for you, where it's like,
why were you homeless?
Well, it was a combination of bad choices, my own stupidity, and my own irresponsibility, really. It was being around the wrong people and not having the balls enough to say, no, I don't need to be around these people. And it's not even about having the balls. It was more about, I just didn't know. Like I didn't have good role models. I didn't have good teachers. And I know that's not an excuse. I can't even really say that because it's not an excuse. Like I think when you find yourself in bad situations, deep down, it's wrong. Deep down, it's incorrect, but you just don't confront it enough to do anything about it. And, kind of going back to your initial question, that's why I became a business owner. It was the same thing. I was like, I had all this potential. I have all this energy. I have all this drive. I don't own anything that I'm creating. I mean, I do, but it's not mine, and I don't have the freedom that I want. And I would see all these other entrepreneurs and these guys come in and they were doing this thing. And I was so inspired by that. And I was like, why am I not this person? Why am I not doing this? What's wrong with me? Like I said before, if I was unable to confront the bad situations that I was in and I didn't do anything about it, the same thing could be said about being an individual in an organization. Now I do believe it takes a certain personality, certain amount of drive, certain amount of desire to want to pursue to be your own business, because basically you're diving off a cliff with no parachute and you're going to have to build the parachute on the way down. Like there's nobody there to save you. There's no HR, there's no manager, there's no boss. You're all of those things. But knowing that that was involved, and me being the risk taker that I like to be, like, I mean, I've traveled all around the world. I've done a bunch of different things. But knowing all of that, I was willing to take the leap, take the experience and try it and see. I was like, look, I've been homeless once before. What's the worst that could happen? I'd be homeless. I'll just go get another job, whatever. But at least I will try this. I'm willing to have it fail. And for the first few months, I did fail. It wasn't very easy. But then I got my groove on and really, we got a thriving business here where we're cranking 7 staff and 7 figures. Like, it's awesome. But you can't conceptually see that when you're being an employee. Like, you can kind of be like, oh, I'm going to do this. I could do this better. And I'll be like, some people think that way. Mine was more about, all right, how do I take this skill that I learned, the artist, the creativity that I have, the ambition that I have, to create my own little universe of my own business. And so that transition was it was a desire, it was an integrity point, and it was something that ate away at me for...
ambition.
What?
I said ambition for sure.
Yeah, well, ambition, but it was just something that... It's like, you should be doing something, and you're not doing it. That's what it is. Purpose. And that's what it was. I'm like, oh, I know I should be running my own business, but why am I not doing it? And so that's what happened. That's how I arrived to the decision to leave and to go on my own. And a lot of people didn't like it. People that I respected didn't like it. People who I thought were role models and mentors, they were not very kind to me about wanting to do it, which was surprising. And I was like, fine, I'm just going to do it. Like, at one point,
I think because people are scared because they could see you're such an asset that they were scared, to sort of let you go.
It could be that. It could be whatever it is. I mean, but in a lot of people's minds, it's like, why would you leave something that why would you do that? And to me, it's like, okay, why not? Like, I could stay, and that was a tough decision too, because I really cared about everybody and I loved everybody, and I put so much, blood, sweat, and tears. I didn't take lunches. I just worked all the time. I was so heavily invested into that. But now I wanted to take all that I was doing and see what I could really do. It was more of a, what could Robert actually do? And that's why I'm running my business now.
So you're a natural risk taker as well, yeah? Because opening a business, it takes balls because, as you said, you're jumping off a cliff pretty much. So I can understand that and relate. But anyway, let's go to maybe the terms and definitions, because you, as a promotion expert, how do you define branding and promotion in the world of marketing? I don't know if I'm even asking the question correctly, because I want to learn from you as the rest of the people listening.
There's terms that are more or less interchangeable, and people, they use them interspersingly. I don't think that's a word. They use them in the wrong context, I believe. So, promotion is making information known. You're communicating. You've created something. You're telling people about it. To me, advertising is the monetary delivery of that promotion, right? So I've created stuff. I do this, and then the actual action is marketing, right? So if I'm building a brand and I'm building a business and I have information and I've got a good product, I got a good service, I know I can help people, I know I can make a difference for people, my job is to, quote unquote, build the promotion for that, the action of telling people that it's there. And then advertising is taking all those created assets and putting money behind them to serve them out. Now, you're still putting assets and things out during promotion, but advertising, you're spending money to get it in front of people, right? So they're just different viewpoints on kind of the same activity. But in my universe, that's how I viewed it. So you start with the brand, you start with building that, then you promote that, then you advertise all of that to get results, to build your business, generate leads, whatever it is you're looking to do. But most people, what they'll do is they'll be like, I just want to advertise. And then they're like, my ads don't work, the leads are bad, I'm not getting conversions, and it's just advertising sucks and it's a waste of money. Well, I'm going to tell you something. In my universe, advertising is very hard. It's not an easy thing. There is no unicorn. There is no quick fix. There's no secret formula even, as some people would have you believe that there is. What there is a process. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but when you're on the phone with someone or you're trying to sell a deal in person, there are steps you have to take to get somebody to buy. Okay, you could play around with those steps, but ultimately you have to hit the steps, the sales quote unquote process. In promotion, advertising, and branding and all these things, there is a process. And if you violate those processes, you don't get the results that you're looking for. You could get impatient with the process. You could hate advertising, but if you violate it, guess what? It doesn't work. And after studying this for 17 years and playing in this space and working with big companies like NBC, Universal, Hilton, entrepreneurs all around the world, Fortune 5,000 companies, it always comes back to the process, right? So you got your brand, you got that information, you got the build out, you got the construction, you got the understanding of that information, and then you move into the promotion piece, which is the creation and the furthering of that brand, and then there's the monetary delivery of the actual brand and promotion into the marketplace.
That makes it way, 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 way clearer.
And it's
so
logical.
obviously
You
the
get
process.
advertising people out there that are like, yeah, we got this secret formula. I'm like, yeah, that's like way to scam people. That's why advertising has a bad name. Oh, we can get you this, and this. Sure. Okay. Awesome. Why are you not a billionaire? If that's the truth, and I'm all about that. I'm like, we have to look at what actually is and what are the steps that are taken to actually get there. With my team, we got 7 people, we got 300 clients, we're growing, we're expanding. It always comes back to the process, always.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, that's, in business, I always look at that as a people, product, processes, sales, and marketing. And that's pretty much, to me, everything that I'm thinking about all day long. And then, for example, when I talk to you, I know that we're going to hit on marketing and promotion, and then sales probably. But you also talk about the processes. I didn't hear you talk about the processes in the interviews maybe 4 years ago when I was listening to you.
No, because it was different. Like, so when I went dark, I had to really understand everything. Like, I understood a lot of what was there, but I don't hear any marketers talk about what I talk about. I don't hear any advertisers talk about what I talk about. They're so focused on the funnel, the lead, the blah, the blah, the blah. They're so busy sounding important that they're not actually helping people. And so my job in my company is we go out and we're like, let's make this accessible to you, because that's my responsibility. And if people are making advertising complex and difficult and all of this stuff, then there's a lie in there, and it's not an ethical business. So my job is to simplify that process. And yes, there are processes. Did I talk about them 4 or 5 years ago? No, because I was focused on branding, right? My business is a full service creative agency. We take you from here all the way to here, which is lead gen, product sales, conversions. We got guys getting 4 or 5 leads a day for a fraction of the cost of what other agencies are doing right now. We've got, and we do web development, graphic design, and all that stuff. And look, all that stuff's important, okay? Videos are important. Websites are important. Facebook, these things are important, but they're all mechanical assets toward the word promotion, right? If you're not willing to understand that fundamental word promotion, nothing else makes sense. If you're not willing to deep dive and look at yourself and look at the problems that exist on the other side of that conversation on social media, then you're basically just doing what everybody else is doing. And that's not what we do with my company.
Absolutely. If you guys want to reach out to Robert for any help and consultation with promotion and branding, then we'll get to that at the end, and we'll also link that in the description of that podcast. So let's go to the strategy, because obviously lots of people. One of your mentors, obviously, Grant Cardone, he's always saying that you need to, like, at the beginning, that's what I learned from him, that you gotta spit out content. You gotta, like, throw it away. Like, don't even think, what you're gonna say, how you're gonna say it. Just, kind of pick up the phone and start recording yourself, or start recording I don't know, something that you're doing. Like yesterday, I visited a client. They have 70 employees here in Las Vegas. They produce amazing, delicious cookies. And they're looking for a video company. They're looking for a video company, bro. So maybe I can link you up. They have a huge operation here in Vegas. Anyway, I visited them, and they also they don't know. They were asking me, the web development guy, hey, should I have a video? Should I have a video here? Do you think I should? Yeah. I said, yeah, dude. If I love your cookies, they're amazing, but I would love to know where they're produced, and then what are the what's the process? So. But I think it's coming to the strategy. Is it important to think at the beginning, when you start out as an individual or a company with promotion, to strategize?
There's a 50-50 thing here. There is the point on, just get it out, don't think about it. That's true. That's very true. But every single person that I work with always comes back to, I just don't know. They go, but they stop. There's a couple factors involved in that. We'll talk about those. But really the first one is just, it comes back to, what do I say? What do I even do? Why would I even say this? What do I even talk about? And my first thing that I do with clients is to help them understand that the information that they're trying to promote with their brand is already in front of them. There is no, you don't have to change, you don't have to become something, you don't have to do this research, because it's already existing in front of you, right? So if you're a business owner in industry X, that industry exists to solve a problem. And you, as your business, created your company because you saw that there was something missing in other companies that could do a better job. Whatever it is, real estate, marketing, whatever. And the fact of the matter is that you have to sit before you do that first video, and you have to really just take inventory of what's happening in the industry you're in. Just look. That's what I did. When I couldn't promote, I just watched. I was like, that person doesn't make sense. That person's a liar. This person is contradicting himself. That's not truth. This isn't real. Why are they saying that? And then I went back to, if these people can go out and say this, I can definitely, as an ethical individual, as someone that has a good product and service, can totally go out on social media. Right? So you sit, you observe, you watch, and you find the stupidity. And I hate to use that word, but you're really looking for the stupidity, the things that are being said that don't quite make sense. And you disprove it without making people wrong. You just say, well, I've heard, or I saw, and I experienced, and what I wanted to do was create something that could solve this problem this way. See, that communication's a lot more tactical. It's aggressive, but it's also tactical at the same time. And you just start picking off little topics around there, and you start running around. What I do is, I'll be talking to people every day, or to my sales guy, or we have a situation we have to solve with a client. And the next thing I do is I look at and say, oh, well, that's an interesting thing. We need to do a video on that. We need to do a video on that. We need to do a video on that. We had a guy, we were calling about real estate, and he said, we were like, well, we could show you how we could generate leads, da-da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, well, I don't want to call leads. And I'm like, I've never in my career ever heard anybody say that. He's selling, but he doesn't want to talk to leads. I'm like, well, why are you in business? What are you doing? What planet does this exist on? We're on planet Earth, dude. Planet Earth, we have to make phone calls. Planet Earth, we have to follow up. Planet Earth, we have to market. What do you mean you don't want to call leads? It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. So what did I do? I made a video called The Holy Grail of Real Estate Marketing. And because he's like, well, I'm looking for that Holy Grail, Rob. Rob, I'm looking for the Holy Grail for marketing, but I don't want to talk to leads. And I said, great, I'm going to go make a 12-minute video about this. And within the first 2 minutes of the video, I'm like, I'm going to tell you about the Holy Grail of marketing. Guess what? There isn't one. And just shatter everybody's dreams, because there's not. There is no Holy Grail. There's activity, discipline, action, all that stuff. But it comes back to that tactical thing, what's happening, what's being experienced. And then here's the second thing, because we talked about this before we got on this, you started recording, was what was the difference between sales and marketing? And there really is no difference between sales and marketing, okay? Fact-finding, greeting, introductions, objection handling, closing, pitching, all those activities that take place during sales is the exact same thing that takes place during promotion and marketing. You just have the opportunity to do it on a much wider scale. You're not confined to one conversation or a group conversation, right? So what I started doing was I said, oh, okay, so fact finding. What am I looking for in fact finding? Well, I'm looking for if they're qualified, have enough income, and have a business, have a product, have websites or not. All that information, then I translate into content, right? So I say, well, let's do the top 5 reasons advertising doesn't work. One of those being maybe you don't have a website. So I just twist all that into content because I'm going to say it on the call anyway. We're going to have to answer that anyway or find out that information anyway. So that becomes fodder for marketing. Objections are my favorite. I actively listen for people's objections. Why would all those reasons, excuses, and nonsense that's just splurted out without any thought or consideration, I'm like, that's great video material. And then I run advertising campaigns with that. Because if I could handle you before we have a conversation with your objection, we're good. And that actually made me a better salesperson because I was practicing my pitch and my communication on YouTube and my videos and Facebook, and I wasn't doing it on the call with a customer. So I became really efficient, and I'd listen to myself, and I'm like, man, that sounds good. That doesn't sound good. This is good. Dive deeper into this, and all that turned into thousands of pieces of content, which I now have a library of content to promote with, and I'm always adding more stuff. So that tactical thing is just, it's already there. It's all already there. You don't have to reinvent anything. Now, obviously, the way that you communicate and the way that you handle things and the way that you talk to someone is why they buy from you. That's the separating factor in advertising. You know, the offer could be awesome, but I'm going to buy from the guy that I feel like I trust. I'm going to buy from the person who and I hate that word trust, but what I really mean to say is I'm going to buy from the guy that shows up every day. Like I'm doing 750 pieces of content a week myself. It's not including all the clients that we're servicing, but just myself in advertising is around 750 pieces of content, right?
How do you do it? Fuck.
Well, I multi-purpose a lot of content. I reuse content, and then I create new content, and I use.
Did you say that you're streaming this podcast as we're recording live as well?
Yeah, it's streamed right now. It's going to go on my Facebook. Okay. It'll be in my stories. That's not on Facebook. It's on Instagram. Yeah, like I'm always finding time.
Is my hair okay? Because
your hair looks beautiful, dude. I mean, it's good. We got some good hair.
When I come to Miami again, it needs to, we gotta, like, you need to invite me with some girls, like some Miami girls.
You are really something. We could go into South Beach and you can walk in there on your own and you will definitely find what you're looking for without any question at all. But with that being said, what were we discussing before we were talking about women in South Beach?
Difference between sales and marketing as well.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the things I hated. People like, get attention, get attention, get attention, get attention, get attention. My first question is, well, how? Like, what does that mean? Get attention. What does that mean? Go get attention. Do I just go stand and yell on the corner? Do I light things on fire? Like, what am I doing? It doesn't see. So what my business does is it takes all that generalized communication and it gives you tactical information. I mean, all the videos I'm doing are tactical. If you watched all my content, you'd be like, wow, that's actually really simple. And it should be simple. It should be.
It's actually interesting because the reason I got you on a podcast is, I mean, first of all, we have a client in common, but second of all, we talked like last year. We had some conversation then, and then for some time, the kind of communication died off. And what kept me kind of thinking about you was the little emails that Damon was sending.
Yeah.
And then, constant value. So I watched all of them, like, wow, this is amazing, So I was maybe subconsciously even applying.
They were not designed to pitch anything. They're not pitching anything. There's no ask for business in there. It's just, hey, I thought about you today. Here's a cool video. Have fun. And we just keep doing that. If you don't want to read it, fine. No big deal. But I'm not trying to harass you. I'm just like, hey, check this out. But it worked because you contacted me.
Because I was thinking about you because you got attention from me.
That's branding. You're just thinking about me. You know me. I'm around. Whether you want to talk to me, whether you like my comments, whether you do anything like that, I'm there. You know I'm there. If you need me, I'm there. You know, I'm like that good friend. If you need me, I'm here. I'll still be here when you don't want to be here, when you don't want to talk to me. But I'm here. That's what branding is. I
study how you talk because it's interesting. I think you got it probably from a few people, and then you added your own kind of twist. And I love that. So some of the like my communication as well, I'm learning. Yes, how you talk, specifically how you talk. I love like the points that you're hitting, and how you actually talk. How that's important. Like the fluctuations. And obviously there's the video content, so that's like additional dimension to all of that. So I'm also studying that.
And again, like I'm not even trying to do anything. Like that's actually, I mean, I've taken training courses on how to communicate better. I've done drills where it teaches you how to communicate, and because I really wanted to be.
Hey, what do you think about NLP? Because I did the course like 5 years ago or 7 years ago.
No, not at all. I don't even think it's real. I think it's a waste of time, personally. There's so many other things out there that you could do, because you're constantly thinking about having to do that. I'm not.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not even present with me when we're talking. You're like, and I'm just like, I want to have a good time. Let's talk. Go ahead. And I just think look, if you got to manipulate people to try to get something done, you're a criminal. And I qualify that as a criminal activity. I don't have to manipulate anybody. If I'm genuine, if I'm authentic, if I communicate how I communicate, you agree with it, great. You don't agree with it, great. But I think if you're trying to manipulate, you're dropping into a very low condition as a human being, in my viewpoint. But hey, people are going to do it. They do what they want to do. Fine. Good for them. Not my cup of tea.
Got it. I mean, the only reason I asked that is because when I was watching your stuff, you were asking, like, for example, some company claimed that you said like 10 mistakes of like marketing, and you said we have the best customer service, and then you started comparing the best to what, the best to, and then you started, and all of that questions. I remember like Richard Bandler, he was teaching that like when I was kind of studying that NLP. So he was saying a lot like whenever like politicians are talking blah blah blah, ask like specific questions. So
it's a question. You're saying you're number one. Okay. In relation to what? That's a truthful, honest answer. That's an honest question. What do you mean? What you're really doing there is you are actually putting somebody in a position where they have to know what they're talking about, which is what correct marketing and promotion actually is. It's like if you're going to go out and you're going to say you're this, that, and this, you do this, and this. If I ask you a question, you should be able to answer it. And if you can't, well, what are you doing? You know what I mean? There's no trickery. It's just, my training and my experience is to be like, if somebody says, I am number one, I'm like, great. In relation to what? I'm authentic. What does that mean? How are you authentic?
Could I say I'm authentic because I think so? Or is it like just very subjective and I'm a dickass?
That's cool. And I think it's great that you think that. But from a marketing perspective, it's not enough. I don't think it's enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know people who said they were authentic and they're stealing from people.
Right.
See, authenticity is something that you should not have to tell me that you're that. I should just be able to experience it, see it in your work ethic, see it how you show up. Like you're going to try to NLP me to believe that you're authentic. Good luck. I'm going to be like, you're kind of talking funny. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, what's that about? It just needs to be what you're doing every day and how you're communicating every day. That's authenticity, right? If you want to explain what your version of authenticity is, that'd be great. You could be like, well, look, I'm from overseas and I've studied this and I've worked with all these different types of companies and I'm working right now to learn from more experts and I work here and I wake up every day and you just tell me what you're doing. Okay, good. I got it. But I think to say something generic like we're the most transparent, authentic business out there in the marketplace, I sit there and I'm like, You and everybody else. You and everybody else thinks they're authentic. You know what I mean? That's what I mean when I say that. Does that clarify that?
That clarifies that. The only thing like I had in my mind was that if you kind of don't bring it up, sometimes, if you don't communicate something, even though you do it. For example, I could be waking up, let's say, 4 a.m. in the morning, grinding all fucking day. Obviously, my results are going to speak because they say, your results are going to speak for themselves. Okay, I got that. But there are people that don't fucking even know what I'm about. They don't even know that I'm like waking up and then... So you know what I'm going?
That's your responsibility to promote it and communicate it. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to say every day that you're authentic. Just put content out there.
Okay.
Like I said, that tactical thing. What's experiencing? What's happening here? Who's saying what? What problems are people coming to you with? All that stuff is that's your information to use.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying that. Last question, Robert. We talked about that before recording, but I think it's the biggest fear that people experience, including myself and yourself. Amen, brother.
Stage fright.
What's that? And why do we? I remember when I was going to Toastmaster because I was learning how to break that shit. I was out of the orphanage, and I moved to London. I was so not confident, and then just talking in front of the people, I was just ashamed of myself, of my accent, and then and that kind of like limited me a lot. How was it with yourself? If you could like take people from your stage fright, and how does one overcome that? Because you probably have a lot of those conversations with your clients every day.
And look, stage fright, it's a normal reaction to something new, number one. Like, it's totally normal. I still get it sometimes. But the thing about it is that I spent so many years being told not to speak. I spent so many years being told that I wasn't good enough, or indirectly told I wasn't good enough, or made fun of, or, told to be quiet, don't say anything. And so all that gets ingrained into your viewpoint, and you're like, well, I just don't need to say anything. I don't need to communicate. It's weird. Like, I don't need to do that. Nobody's going to like it. So stage fright comes, I think, because some people are just natural. They like to talk to people. And I think when you're first starting out in that, it's something new that you've never done before. And so how did I overcome this? Well, one, I had a desire to do it. Like, I really just wanted to be good at it. Now, do I want to be in the motivational industry where I go speak on stages? Not really. Like, that's not really what I want to do. If somebody asks me, I'll do it, but it's not my main thing. So the second thing was there was the desire, and there was the will to want to communicate better. And then what I discovered is that it actually it was more of a responsibility. So I took that fear off of myself, and I said, well, what if I had information that could help someone today, and I don't tell them and they get into trouble? Who's responsible for that? Am I responsible if I knew that I could help that person but I didn't say anything? Am I just as responsible for that person as that person's responsible for themselves because they didn't have the right information? If I had an opportunity to help somebody, don't I have a responsibility to do that? So I just took it away from my own insecurity, because it's being selfish, actually. Oh, I'm afraid. People aren't going to like me. People are going to like me. It's selfish. It's all about you. Has nothing to do with anybody else. It's you being selfish about yourself and your own feelings. And if you can just say, wow, I'm being selfish right now. That's stupid. I really just want to help people. And you just go back to that really simple thing of like, I just want to help people. Is everybody going to like it? No. I put these ads out over the last few weeks, and they're actually some of my most engaged content, and I've had so many haters on those things. I've also had a lot of good people.
By the way, before the recording, I asked one of the guy, he's a camera guy, and he wants to create a course. He's my client of mine as well. He works for one of my clients as well. And I asked him, hey, do you know the gentleman by the name of Robert Syslo? I said, I've seen his ad. It's very intriguing, you know?
Yeah, but it wasn't that ad, but I was talking about something else, and I actually was excited because I was like, whoa, this, like, I could just see how stupid the hate was. Like, I was just like, this is based on nothing. Because if you watch the video, and it wasn't an ad for a product, it was just talking about how to analyze information. And I was like, if you just watch the video, what you just said doesn't make any sense. And so what you discover is that as you actually promote, two things happen, or three things. You become way more confident. You realize 98% of the people out there are happy that you said something and that you actually talked. And then the third thing is that you can actually just sit back and be like, wow, I can't believe that somebody stopped their day, went to Google, looked for this meme, customized the meme, went all the way back to Facebook, went all the way back to my ad, wrote in the comments, blah, 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 and posted that meme. And that took 5 minutes. And in my world, in 5 minutes, I could have gotten 12 pieces of content out, and I could have made 2 phone calls and helped somebody today. See, look at but that's the difference of mentality. So when you go through this, oh, I'm afraid, number one, it's selfish. There's no reason for it. Number two, if you want to be a business owner, you're going to have to be out there communicating. And that's just the truth. I don't know if that helps. I think it might, but that's what I did. I just always go back to, why am I doing this?
That's amazing, brother. That's, wow. What you said is so powerful.
Because like all this attention's on you. Like, I hate this, I'm bad, da 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 da. And you're like, oh, I'm doing this because I actually could help people. Your attention goes back out, and you're like, oh, everything's okay, and I didn't die. I'm reaching 3.5 million people a month, and I'm fine. It's okay. I've got my phone number. I remember when people were like, don't put your phone number on social media. Don't put your phone number on your website. You're going to get thousands of calls.
Exactly.
I don't. It's weird. I mean, we get a few, but like, it's not like it's made up.
People don't call. Yeah. There's so much like misinformation that people have. Anyway, Robert, thank you very much. One last thing that just popped it in my mind, because you said that you're looking for something for stupidity that people say, and I'm just wondering,
illogical things that are illogical. Let's change it to illogical things, like what is being said that's like, that doesn't really make sense.
Exactly. So we are a fully remote business. I don't know if you are or not. Probably not. Not fully remote, at least.
We have everybody comes in now. We're not remote.
Okay. Because some of the gurus say that remote working it doesn't work. You can't like grow a business remote. What's your opinion?
I don't listen. Look, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it work. Where I think remote businesses could have an issue is you just don't have the immediate control. You have communication barriers, but those are all very solvable. I mean, everybody was remote from March to, what was it? When did they open everything back up? June? When they opened everything back up. So for 6 or 7 months we were remote, and it was a little tough, but it was fine. It was fine. So funny, somebody on Instagram, after I said the thing about having my phone number on there, they're like, let's start calling him. I'm like, please, you can. I love it.
Give him a call. Everybody give him a call.
Please.
Give him a call.
305-340-7721. There it is right there. Give me a call.
Awesome.
Like, dude, it's just... It's a consideration, right? It's like people out there right now talking about market uncertainty. Okay, in my universe, people have money and we're making money.
This period of time is like the most explosive. I know you took a quantum leap with your business as well, from like in 1 year from pretty much zero revenue to like fucking 7 figures. So, which is amazing. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. It's a lot of work, and it's still a lot of work, but I love it.
So where people, other than calling you, which I recommend they do, where do they go if they don't want to call and they want to check you out when they take a poo or something? You
are really something. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, at Robert Syslo Jr. You can go to my website, sysloventures.com. And if you want to buy my course, it's sysloventures.com/ secrets revealed.
Exactly. So there's a course that you're selling as well. So the secrets revealed, that would be for people that they want to kind of do it themselves
For anybody.
or learn it.
I mean, I've got companies that were crushing it and they're like, my ads aren't working. And I'm like, well, we have to analyze what you're actually talking about and we got to fix that. So it's really for anyone. It's for the guys that are winning and it's for the people that are just starting. It's for both.
Awesome. So we're going to link that up to the description. And thank you very much for, 1 hour of Robert Syslo time. What would that be? $10K that would cost me?
It probably cost me about $10,000, yeah.
Wow.
But that's okay.
So I have a gift for you here that I'll
love the
present
gift,
to you
man.
after we're done with the recording. Robert, thank you very much. And the podcast will be out next week. And thank you to all your listeners as well.
Thank you.
I love how you're going basically, all the places.
Yeah, just all over.
Appreciate you. Take care, guys.
Man,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Życie bez gruchy. Jedyny życiowy podcast w Polsce stworzony dla geeków.